Welcome to In Good Company, where relationships drive results, with your host, Lisa Kilray. In each episode, we explore how great leaders build trust, inspire teams, and turn meaningful connections into real success.
Hi, I'm Lisa Kilray, the host of In Good Company, where relationships drive results. Today's episode is sponsored by WSI eResults. At WSI, we help manufacturers and B2B businesses build the strategic foundation they need for AI-driven digital growth. Our work spans SEO, content strategy, and multi-channel digital campaigns that fuel bottom-line results. Recently, a client who started with us a few years ago said, "I'm so glad we began this when we did." That early strategy is why they are now showing up across AI search and LLM platforms and attracting qualified leads from around the world for equipment that can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Learn more at WSI-manufacturing-marketing.com. Dan LaTurno is here today with me. He is the president and CEO of Peoria Production Solutions, a contract manufacturing company based in Peoria, Illinois, with 2 operating locations. Under his leadership, Peoria Production Solutions oversees full-scale production operations and a multi-million-dollar P&L. Dan joined Peoria Production in 2019 after holding senior leadership roles across the specialty textiles industry, including serving as president of Aurora Specialty Textiles Group. With more than 30 years of experience in manufacturing and operations management, he has led teams through large-scale production, logistics, and organizational growth. He is also a strong advocate for inclusive hiring, championing opportunities for neurodiverse individuals and people on the autism spectrum. Thank you for joining me today, Dan. Welcome to the show.
Lisa, thank you for having me, and more importantly, thank you for all the good work you've done over the last 5 years.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to have you here and just talk about you and where you've been and what's gotten you to this point, and some memorable moments in your life and career. So Let me just start off with, give me some information on how your career started out and how you got to the point that you're at right now.
Well, let me start by saying I'm a proud Indiana alum because Indiana is #1 at football now, and first time in my lifetime, first time ever that Indiana is #1. So that's where I
Congrats on
started.
that.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Gary, Indiana, Northwest Indiana. And my mom said I can go to any public school I want as long as it's in the state. So I picked Purdue, computer science, failed miserably my first year. Couldn't get past Fortran, computer language. So then
Right.
I went to Indiana after that and changed my major to business and did really well for the next 3.5 years. I was on the 5-year plan after missing a year, almost most of the year at Purdue. But
Right.
but then went back for my MBA a few years later, also at Indiana. So I'm very
Oh, nice.
proud of the education that Indiana provided me, and that kind of laid the groundwork for jobs in papermaking industry, my first job in Chicago, and then into the textile industry for 25 years, the last 5 being president, as you mentioned, of Aurora Specialty Textile Group. I hit 55 and I thought, I'm going to work for another 15 years, more than likely. So I have another chapter, I think. And I was growing stagnant where I was at. So I just made myself available on LinkedIn for work, and just, serendipitous that Peoria Production Shop at that point had a president who'd worked there for 40 some years, who was wanting to retire. They searched through the Peoria area and couldn't find anybody who met the criteria that they set. So they did a more wide search with a Chicago firm and contacted me. I came down here for an interview, and I remember sitting in the parking lot going, "I'm just going to practice interview this. I'm not going to really live in Peoria." And I was so blown away by the people here because our 60% of our population are individuals with disabilities, and they're so engaging. They were so welcoming. They were so interested in what I was doing here. So then I left and I came back a couple weeks later, did another second interview with a little more in-depth questions and a lot more time on the floor. I've always been somebody who's been really interested in the operations and people on the floor. I've been told in my past job, I'd spend too much time on the floor, which I don't know how that's possible, but
I don't think
I
that's
always
possible.
no, I don't
Yeah.
either. I don't either. But I do. I just love the people and love talking to people. And here it really resonates because people really like to be listened to and feel appreciated. And you can imagine somebody who's neurodiverse or in a wheelchair or low vision, no vision, they get looked past a lot. But here they're very much appreciated. We provide a safe and respectful work environment. So this is absolutely, I started here, as you said, in 2019, and my only regret, and I say it all the time, is I didn't get here sooner, because I have no desire to retire, and just cannot wait for the next work day. There's no Sunday scaries in my world anymore.
Oh man, that's
You're looking for,
awesome.
yeah, I really do look forward to coming to work on Monday mornings.
Yeah, that's great. And you can obviously you found your place.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about Peoria Production Solutions mission.
Okay.
I know that you are officially a nonprofit, but you operate as a nonprofit. And I know that you've told me in the past that one of the big things that you want to accomplish is you want to grow the business so you can hire more people
So true. Yeah.
with disabilities, and you can give them that opportunity that your current employees have.
Yeah.
Expand
Yeah.
on that a little bit.
So technically our mission is to be the premier employer of individuals with disabilities. And and that puts jobs right at foremost, right? So when we're quoting work, um, we want to make money, but we're not quoting 40% margins. We're typically 5 and 10% margins because we value the jobs, the business, more than we do the profit because having said that, we're a nonprofit, um, but we also operate like a for-profit. Most nonprofits and sheltered workshops do fundraising, donor solicitation, get state money. We don't do any of that. So we do have to be a little mindful of of taking jobs at negative margins, but we have because they've created 10 jobs for us. And all those
Okay.
jobs will employ individuals with disabilities, which we call targeted employees. You might hear me use that term. That just means that these employees target our mission, meaning they have a disability. But our employees really, it's amazing what they can do. They're very high functioning and very accurate about the work they do. I mean, Caterpillar is our largest customer, by far, and
Uh-huh.
they have so many metrics, and they don't lower their metrics for us. We're held to the same level that for-profit companies and packagers are for them, and they share the metrics with us for those other operations in the area, and we're always number one. Our employees are always the best for quality, for inbound and outbound velocity. It is something we're very proud of.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, it
Congrats on
really is.
that.
Thank you. Yeah, but yeah, that's so true. That we just want we start finding employees in like high school co-op programs, and
Okay.
then they come work for us on a part-time basis. And when they graduate, more times than not, they just stay here. They just continue to work here because this is the environment that they know. Their friends, their social network is here.
Uh-huh.
And matter of fact, we have two employees that have 45 years of tenure. Both
Oh
came
my
from
gosh.
East Peoria High School programs 45 years
Okay.
ago. So, yeah.
Sounds like they might retire from Peoria production.
Yeah, they keep talking about it, but luckily they keep coming to work. So,
Well,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah, and I should say, because of our special population, our turnover is like literally 2%. I mean, people
Oh
just
my
don't leave. If they
gosh.
leave, they retire. They
Yeah,
don't leave for other jobs. They can make more money elsewhere. We're not the highest paying, but our benefits are really strong. So it's hard to make up for that.
right. So tell me about the growth of the company and how that has impacted your ability to hire more people.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah. Let me. Yeah, I should have said this earlier. So our company
that's okay.
started in 1941 when a doctor, Maxim Pollock, realized that he was curing individuals when they had tuberculosis. That was the big issue then. That was the COVID of that area, right? And as he was curing them, realizing that they were being discriminated in the workforce. Once they were cured, they weren't transmissible, but people didn't know that, so they just shied away from it. And so he started a business in downtown Peoria on Adams Street, where he contracted with Caterpillar to do sewing of safety equipment, leather and canvas gloves, aprons, hats for welders and torch cutters.
Okay.
And then in 1951 incorporated us as a nonprofit. And at that point, TB had kind of been in the rearview mirror. So he looked at the next population that's being discriminated against, and that was individuals with disabilities. So then he started hiring individuals with disabilities to do the sewing, and then he's branched out into other types of businesses. A lot of it was for Caterpillar in the beginning, but so they were our first customer, and they're still our biggest customer, and we still do sewing for them even today.
Okay.
So when I started in 2019, our sales had been about 18 million. It was 18 million again that year. The next year, through a lot of, even through COVID, we grew to 27 million. Then we went to 34 million, and then we actually hit 44 million. Probably a little more than we bit off a little more than we could chew. Well, there was
Yeah.
lot of, so we then, and then we went back to 34 million, and we budgeted about 36 for this fiscal year. But yeah,
Okay.
we're in the doubling of when we started, and
Yeah.
yeah, so and
That's
it's just
amazing.
because, yeah, it really is. It's because we branched out into other types of capabilities. We bought some equipment. My predecessor didn't really believe in automating. He felt, and rightfully so, he felt that it would just replace jobs. But a lot of the jobs that we're quoting, if you don't automate, you can't meet the numbers that these companies want. Tens of thousands of bottles labeled a week.
Okay.
You can't do that by hand. You can't do it accurately either. So,
Right.
we bought some equipment to put us into different types of packaging and assembly jobs, and that's been very successful. Our employment is about 220 now. It was about 140 when I started. It's been as high as 300. So we'd like to get back to that level of employment. And additionally, as we're starting our strategic plan for the next 5 years, we're looking at mergers and acquisitions because our mission does travel. There are people in Galesburg and Rockford and Bloomington, Illinois, that are working, and there's nothing wrong with that, working at a Jewel or an Arby's, but they're probably the only one there with a disability, and they probably not being treated as well as they would be treated here. So I feel it's
Right.
our obligation to spread our mission and do what we do at these two facilities, but do them in other areas.
Oh, that's amazing. So that's part of your 5-year plan is to
Yes,
grow in, is
yes,
it to grow into other states or other
yeah.
cities?
Certainly other cities for sure. Other surrounding. We're an hour away. Rockford's about
Yeah.
2 hours away, but Bloomington's only 40 minutes, so that would be kind of the first. That's our first target. But
Okay.
Champaign, Springfield, those would be good areas for us to move into.
Right. No geography does not have people that need jobs.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
That's for sure. That's great. I mean, your growth, you've just about doubled your employee count, which is
Mhm.
accomplishing your mission. What challenges have you faced in this? I mean, you had COVID. I mean,
Mhm.
how did you almost double your business during COVID?
Well, not kissing up to WSI and you, Lisa, but I think, we
Okay.
one of the first things we did was change our name to Peoria Production Solutions because shop sounded kind of wonky, and we
Yeah.
changed our logo. And with your help, we changed the way we changed our website, and then we changed the way that we model our RFQ button, how we changed our website, reskinned it, and made it more appealing through digital marketing, so people will find us. I could not even find Peoria Production Shop. We had a website, but I had to type in
Yep.
the URL to get there. And
Right.
now, as you know, now we're showing up as on the first page all the time, virtually, when
Right.
somebody's looking for packaging, sewing, assembly, any kind of bottle labeling. So we're showing up very high in the search, and that's a lot of the work that you've done, your team. So we're getting a ton of RFQs through our website now. So
Yep. Well,
that's helped a lot. Yeah, you're
thank
welcome.
you for
Yeah,
the shout out.
yeah,
Um,
you're very welcome. Very deserved.
what are some of the services that you expanded into over the past few years that you weren't doing when you first arrived or before your arrival at Peoria
Yeah, so
Production?
so we weren't doing a ton of kitting when I started, and that's putting items in a box in a certain
Hmm.
orientation. Some of the kits can just be industrial washers and bolts and nuts, and they don't need to be, it doesn't matter how the bolts look. But a lot of it now has become consumer brands, and they want it to look a certain way, so you have to orientate the items in there just right. And for individuals on the autism spectrum, that is a strength for them because they are so geared into everything being a certain way. If they can do 5 or 6 tasks over and over, that you and I would make mistakes and get bored and look around and talk to our neighbors. They are so focused and they do such a good job with that. And so that the kitting, the bottle labeling has become really big, two-sided and round bottles, and also
Okay.
kind of rectangular bottles with 2 sides. We've gone into that, and then fulfillment has become really big for us. So we'll sit on items, and then and usually we'll do something to it, like we'll do an assembly of items, and then as these orders come in, then we'll go ahead and fulfill and take them off the shelf and ship them out to whoever the
Okay.
customer has sold them to.
Okay. Great. So you've achieved so much success in your life. What would you say is one of your mistakes or a big downfall or a big pitfall that you've experienced? And what did you learn from that?
Um, Let me see. Certainly not going back and get my MBA as quick as I did. There was 10 years in between. I think anybody who's got a graduate degree realizes that you learn more in your 2 years of graduate school than you did the other 4 because you got all those core classes you're taking because you have to be well-rounded. But the focus is much more on an MBA about business, case study, and what you can learn there. I would say that would be one, and my mother would if she was still alive would agree with that because she was pushing me back
Okay.
to school right away. Go back to school,
Okay.
get your MBA, and I no, I wanted to live for a while. Um, but probably staying in the textile industry too long. I think unfortunately it's never going to go away, but it was dying when I entered it, and I probably should have stayed, got some experience, and then moved on to another interest, and maybe even gotten to PPS even sooner. But yeah,
Right.
I've been very fortunate. I've made some mistakes in my personal life, being divorced twice, but I've certainly in my
That's
professional
okay.
life, in my professional life, I've really hit home runs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone stumbles and everybody learns from their
Yeah,
mistakes.
yeah,
And, most mistakes end up benefiting you in the long run. So I would
yeah,
say that that's
true,
probably based on the mistakes that you've shared, they don't seem monumental. They've ended up paying off in the long run for you personally
for
and
sure.
professionally.
For sure. My mother
Um,
always taught me that, find a job that you love, and then that way you never work a day in your life kind of mentality. And she was always really focused on all her kids working because she worked her whole life. And so
yep,
she put this work ethic, beat it into all 5 of us. So, and I
yep,
feel, I feel that's really paid off.
yep. So, you've mentioned your mother as being
Mhm.
influential in a positive way in your life. Is there anybody else in your life that you consider to be a mentor that gave you some good advice that really helped put you on your path to
Yeah,
success?
yeah, absolutely. A gentleman named Bob Matz, who was my predecessor as president of Aurora Specialty Textile Group. He and I worked together at two companies. I just kept following three. I'm sorry, 3 companies. I kept following him around because we worked at Industrial Coatings Group in Chicago, right near Chinatown on the Chicago River, and that was my first job in the textile industry. And he was a vice president. Then he became president, and I just followed him around. I just loved his. He was a big Peter Drucker fan, and he
Okay,
I got me to read a ton of his books and follow his philosophy of hiring good people and let them do their job. And I really liked his style, and I followed him to Aurora Textiles, actually to Tennessee, a job for Holliston Mills, and then
oh,
Aurora,
okay.
Aurora Textiles. And then when he retired, he sold the owner on the task that I was the should be the next president, and I was. So thanks to him, I got that position, and so yeah, so Bob Mance really has been the person that has been a mentor throughout 25 years of my career.
Great. So, as we somewhat wrap up, um, Is there anybody else? I mean, you talked about Bob.
Hmm.
Is there anybody in the industry, maybe not exactly what Peoria Production does, but somebody who works for a company that also um, employs inclusive hiring practices and hires employees with disabilities? Is there anybody in that industry that you admire, that you talk to, that's influential, that you'd like
Sure.
to share a story about?
Sure. Actually, I'm the
Okay.
board chair of a company right next to us that is a sheltered workshop type. They do provide day services and home programs and housing for really severely disabled individuals. It's called Epic.
Okay.
And it used to be Park, and then they changed their name to Epic in 2010. And the CEO there, Kim Cornwell, is really she's worked there for 35 years. She's going to retire in 27, and
Okay.
that's going to be a tough job for us to fill that position because she cares so much about the individuals, and it's a completely different business model. We're both nonprofits, but we employ individuals with disabilities. They serve individuals with disabilities. So it's a completely different model. And
Okay.
I got on their board 6 years ago, so I could understand what another nonprofit is like and how to deal with a board and all for the first time. And she's been
Right.
really good about advice and just modeling the right behavior, how she treats her board members and how she treats her employees. I mean, and really how she treats the individuals they serve. And she's such a kind, caring person, and I think she displays what I liked to model is manage through caring, being a servant leader, those kind of things. So yeah, Kim Cornwell would be somebody within the nonprofit space that I really look up to how she functions and how she runs her team.
Well, it sounds like you might want to start looking now if she's that good.
Yeah.
And
Well, we
she's,
are. We're starting in January.
oh,
Yeah. And we
oh,
got a year
okay,
and a half.
good.
So yeah, we're starting early.
Yeah, that's not, you're not gonna be able to fill her shoes overnight.
No,
Um,
we're expecting to hire somebody at least 6 months overlap so they can glean what I've seen is her strength.
right, right. That's awesome. Well, Dan, thank you so much for ending on that note and for
Sure
such a
thing.
great conversation today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I appreciate you sharing your perspective, your story, and thanks for being in good company with me.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks for listening to In Good Company, where relationships drive results, with Lisa Kilray. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay connected and keep building relationships that drive results.